Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Needle. Today's video I'll be talking about 4 game aspects that you need to master here in Season 9 that go beyond just the basics of aiming, editing, and building. It's pretty apparent that here in Season 9 we're playing at a different skill level of Fortnite where there's a lot of factors that go into a gunfight and actually coming out with the kill. So it's very important to understand that there's more you have to do than just crank 90s to the sky and hit a pump shotgun shot to get a win now. So we're going to be covering some aspects. I'll be breaking down each one with some great examples, so make sure to stick around to the end of the video. And if you guys are new here, before we get too far into it, make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications, as well as leave a like on the video and leave a comment down below saying what your favorite tip is at the end and what you enjoyed most about the video. So without further ado, let's jump right into this and break down the 4 game aspects you really need to hone in if you want to go to make the jump from being an average player all the way to an elite skilled Fortnite player. So the first one here that I would think is the most important to talk about, and I really haven't made a video on before, is your game positioning. Simply put, positioning is just how you position yourself in a gunfight to take your shots. So some people may have better positioning than others and get really easy shots, but the whole goal with positioning is to take the best angle, the best route where your opponent can't see you, and preferably land shots to their side or the back where they can't see you at all and just get easy kills with it. But there is a lot more that goes into how you position yourself in your game, because not all gunfights are going to be that easy. It's going to have to be a combination of everything when it comes to positioning out. So you might need to hit some builds to get up on top of a building, but basically just think about it like this. The best position you can get naturally is any kind of natural high ground. So maybe a mountain, a hill, top of a building. Just understanding angles of building too can really help with your positioning. So positioning is going to be a hard one just due to the fact it depends where you land and how you really like to play your game. But think about it like this. High ground is always going to be the best for getting shots off. Other than that, you might want to get some sneak angles and try to hit them from the back, but it's really going to come down to how you play and how you want to practice this. I personally think the best way to really practice your positioning is watching others. So let's watch who I think is the king of positioning here, Nick Mercs. Let's watch him take out Tilted Towers. It's an older gameplay. It has the old Tilted Towers in the bump, but don't mind that. He absolutely goes off at this gameplay. So let's check it out and let's see how Nick lines up some easy kills with positioning. I really like this clip here from Nick Mercs because I think it just showed how important it is just to move while you're shooting at a gunfight. He is always moving, always trying to take a different angle. If you watch how he played, this is an older gameplay, so keep in mind he didn't build a lot back then. He doesn't build a lot now. He really didn't build at all in this gameplay. He just kept moving and taking shots from different angles and really kept catching his opponents off guard, really highlighting how important your game positioning can be here in Fortnite if you use it correctly. Next thing up we have here is going to be game sense, and game sense is a beast of its own, so I'm going to try to break it down to the simplest terms because I could probably talk for multiple videos and make a whole series on game sense and things you need to do. But game sense is basically your game awareness no matter where you're at on the map. So I like to think of it on more of like a competitive level than playing like public matches and squads or something, but something like this. So let's say you know you have to rotate and you don't have a lot of mobility, you don't have any shadows, you don't have gliders, you don't have a launch pad, you don't have rifts, you don't have anything. You need to think of a route to get to zone, knowing where other teams are at. So let's say you're in a little bit of a bigger zone, maybe there's like 40 other players left, you're in solos and they're all boxed up and you can see people built to the sky in like a scrim style kind of play. You need to devise a route to get to the zone without getting shot. That would be somewhat of an idea of game sense and like game timing. So another thing to think about would maybe be, when is the storm coming? How is the storm coming in on this route? How should I move and how should I position myself to hit people who are going to be rotating in on this circle? So it's things like that, things like rotating sooner. Do I want to rotate later? It's all about having game awareness. And it could be even more on a smaller level, like, do I want to take this gunfight here or do I want to push this guy? So it's all about weighing out your options and understanding that there are costs and benefits. You know, there's going to be negatives to any fight you take. It's understanding what you can gain from it and what you can potentially lose if you actually do lose the gunfight. This is another one, though, that it's going to be a lot harder for me just to keep rambling and explaining about. So let's take a look at a VOD review, which is basically just a video review of somebody's gameplay where somebody else, or even you can do it for your own gameplay, they break down somebody else's gameplay and they kind of notice the things they do, such as material switches, why they build with metal here, why they use wood for stuff like this. It's really insightful to take some stuff in, so I'm only going to play about a minute or two of this, but just watch how he breaks down this gameplay and really gives a lot of insight. You can learn a lot from this, so if you enjoy these style of VOD reviews, feel free to go watch more from this guy in the description. I'll put him down there, or anybody else. Feel free to check these out. They are very helpful.
Because of how they approached it. Let's take a look at a fight by Stompy and Shinken that exemplifies this in moving zones. They find a player boxed up taking shots and are gliding. So Stompy goes in the front and Shinken goes in the back. Even without the initial damage, they are getting marijuana in most situations outside of some crazy quick sneaky edit escapes, just based off of their initial positioning. As soon as marijuana loses a wall, the other player spams and it's over. Again, this concept is applicable at all stages of the game. Here they are again in final circle setting up the pinch before any shots are fired. They realize this guy is boxed, so Stompy starts holding and grabbing his attention while Shinken sets up on his other side. Spam comes in and he has to give up holding eventually. And it's even harder to make those quick edit escapes in the final zone with such confined spaces. Eventually, both players of the E11 duo can take shots on him at the same time and it's a wrap. Obviously, you have to be very aware of other players and covering quite well. I don't know how many times I've been going for a pinch late game with my duo and just completely ignore the guy pickaxing into my box from behind me. Now that we've talked about the pre-fight setup, we have to remember that just pinching a guy once isn't going to matter in the grand scheme of things. Zayt and Sav had one of the most ridiculous W key games in their qualifying run. Most of their kills came from, yeah, that's right, you guessed it, pinches. The thing about this game is the map is not static and you can create so many opportunities because of it. That, combined with the verticality of building, you can pitch from above, below, the sides, in really all directions. No other game does that, which tends to a crazy level of spatial awareness needed.
Yes, so as you guys can see, those VOD reviews are very in-depth and very complex, where they're going to break down a lot of stuff, so it's a lot of information taken at once. So maybe if you just want to watch a couple minutes of it and take some stuff and then try to learn from it, that might be best. Personally, I can't really sit there and watch them all the way through. I can't just get into it enough, but that's just me, so hopefully you guys can learn something through that and through what I just showed you. Next up, though, we are going to have what might be a little weird here, but it's going to be the ability to use all sorts of weapons and items in Fortnite. This may seem odd, but you will notice that all the top tier players can basically abuse any weapon, mainly through explodes here. It's not like they're picking up, you know, random weapons and going off of them. What I really mean here is like making use of stuff like dynamite, using grenade launchers effectively. Stuff like this is really useful in Fortnite, especially if you understand how you can use them to your advantage and break opponents down. Personally, I think a great example is how Ghost Bizzle qualified with no guns. He literally had no guns. He completely relied on movement such as shadows, his ball, and other sorts of items to really help him win. This is in the World Cup qualifier. He won, I think, 3 games with like no weapons. He won 3 games in the World Cup qualifiers with no weapons. If that alone doesn't show you how useful it is to understand how to use each item and anything in the game, I don't know what will. So let's roll a clip right here of Bizzle qualifying in his ball without having any weapons.
I suck. Oh! Die! I have 2 traps. I have 2 traps. I have no mats! No!
Well, Bizzle just proved that using other sorts of items such as boogies and shadows instead of weapons can get you a lot more points in the World Cup qualifiers than many people would realize. Literally went in with no weapons and just made use of other items to really juice his chances to stay alive and survive. So props to Bizzle on that. Now the last thing we're going to be talking about here is the use of cones. And the cones, they're definitely a weird one. At first, I felt like they were like a kind of a phenomenon in creative and playgrounds. Like, oh my god, you can cone people. That's so crazy. Like, coning people while they're building up and stuff like that, or editing through cones while building up. It kind of was a flashy thing at first, right? But now it seems to be like a fundamental part of every single player's build fights and just fights in general. So when you see someone branching in a scrim level match or just arena, they'll usually branch in with floors and cones. So understanding that you need to be able to use cones is great, and it's something you need to start doing if you haven't already. More specifically, I want to be talking about how you can really abuse cones by placing them on top of people from low ground. So I'm actually going to roll some clips in a second because I might not have made too much sense, but if you're in the perfect spot or understand how you can cone at certain angles, you can really cone people from spots you would never have ever imagined. So I'll roll this video clip here. I'll have the link down in the description as well because this is absolutely crazy. Check out these insane cones and like just how far you can place these, and they have like, I don't know, just no radius. This thing is insane. Watch this right here.
Listen, man.
That's going to be all from me, guys, for this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. As always, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, leave a like on the video, and comment what your favorite thing was that you're going to take away and start adding into your game. Appreciate you guys so much. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.